My name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Museum Open House. This ongoing series features and highlights many of the outstanding museums and other cultural institutions. The main purpose of most programs is to inform viewers about current and upcoming exhibits, various programs, resources, and other opportunities that are available for the general public. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guest Dr. John Buchtel. John is the curator of rare books and head of special collections at the Boston Athenaeum. He's here to inform us about the exquisite and extremely informative exhibition he's recently curated entitled The Art of Paper, Claire Van Vliet and the Janus Press. During the program, we'll hear why and how the exhibition came about. We'll go on a behind the scenes tour and in the process come to better understand and appreciate Claire Van Vliet's noteworthy contributions and talents as an artist, illustrator, printmaker, and printer. Let's start by meeting John and then finding out all about the art of paper, Claire Van Vliet and the Janus Press. Welcome, John. So delighted you're able to be here.
Thanks for having me, Jay. It's a delight to be here.
A couple of weeks ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to visit the Athenaeum and to go through the exhibit and just came away so impressed and awed by Ms. Van Vliet's talent and the range of her craftsmanship. So eager personally to hear more and then have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I also think it would be of interest if you'd share briefly just a little bit more about your background, professional interest, current position, please.
Sure. So I've been the curator of rare books and head of special collections at the Boston Athenaeum for about 6 years now. I started off my career with a graduate degree in English literature at the University of Virginia, where
Mm.
I worked for an institute called Rare Book School, which specializes in the study of the history of books and printing in all aspects. And actually, as we'll see as we move through the exhibition, the very first piece of artwork that I ever saw by Claire Van Vliet, I saw there in the campus library at the
Ah,
University of Virginia. I then went on to become curator of rare books at the Johns Hopkins University and then head of special collections at Georgetown University before I came up to Boston. And I love it here. The Boston Athenaeum is
yeah.
an amazing place with a beautiful building and incredible collections.
Most definitely. And as we'll shortly see, the exhibition you've created epitomizes what the Athenaeum is all about. But before we jump right to that, would you share for those of viewers and others not as familiar maybe with Miss Van Fleet, just a little bit about her background and her artistry, please?
Absolutely. Claire Van Vliet was born in 1933 in Ottawa, Canada. So she is now 91 years old.
Mm.
She's an amazing person. I've had the privilege of working directly with her as we planned this exhibition, and she loaned some of the artwork for the show. And it was a delight and a privilege. She has an incredible artistic vision. She got her start with art school in Southern California, and she established the Janus Press in 1954. So we are actually celebrating the 70th anniversary of her private press, her fine press, the Janus
Wow,
Press. So
incredible.
it's an incredible opportunity to be able to celebrate that with her. So as an artist, she thinks of herself as a printmaker and a paper maker, a maker of books. She makes handmade paper, and she makes handmade books. And her artistic practice as a printmaker, as a paper maker, as a maker of books is very highly collaborative. That is one of the most important things to her about her artwork. And also the fact that everything is made by hand. That is uh, both an inspiration in this increasingly digital age, and also I think a way of grounding us as viewers with this artwork.
Well said, well said. Well, you mentioned you had some collaboration. Why and how did the exhibition come about?
So about 5 years ago, the Boston Athenaeum was given a wonderful collection, the Sadie Lewis Webb collection of the art and history of the book. And part of that collection included a complete, almost complete, collection of the books of the Janus Press. So
Mm,
almost every book in the exhibition comes from the Athenaeum's collection as a result of that. And then much of the art hanging on the wall is on loan from the artist.
mhm. You know, before we jump right into and have a virtual tour of the exhibition, just a few words on your thoughts on laying out and the way that viewers might make their way through the exhibition.
Right. So the exhibition is on the first floor of the Athenaeum and is part of our um, open to the public um, first floor exhibition and member and sorry, exhibition experience, um, or art and exhibition experience. And so the main gallery, which we're looking at here, features a selection of Van Vliet's prints and her pulp paintings, which we'll discuss in a couple minutes, and many of her most vivid and sculptural artists' books. And then we have two display cases outside the gallery that feature work that highlights her work with non-adhesive book structures. She
Mm,
specializes in these incredibly inventive, imaginative ways of putting books together with woven and interlocked strips of paper, no glue in sight. And then we have one more section at the end of the exhibition that features her printed broadsides, where she's combining different aspects of her creative practice into individual pieces of wall art.
yeah, again, the range of her work that we're fortunate to enjoy in the exhibition is just awe-inspiring. And with that said, let's jump right in and encounter one of the first pieces as we walk in. Some comments, please, on this in front of us.
So this is one of my favorite pieces in the entire show, although I like them all, so it's hard to choose a favorite. This piece is called Abiquiu Mesa Blue. It's a diptych, a pair of prints. They are stone lithographs, so Claire Van Vliet actually prints directly from slabs of limestone for many of her prints. She uses lots of different printmaking media. And with this detail shot, you get a very clear sense of the fact that this is the texture gives you a sense that this is in fact handmade paper that
Mm,
she's printing on. And
mhm,
so this is paper that she made herself with one of her paper making collaborators. She always makes her, well, not always, but she almost always makes her paper in teams, um,
mm,
and loves to give acknowledgement to that fact. And this is a great example of her creating a print on one of her pulp paintings. What is a pulp painting, you ask? I'm glad you asked. A pulp painting is handmade paper. So you're literally making the paper yourself with a screen, with paper pulp, and you can use a variety of different kinds of fibers suspended in a vat of water, linen or cotton or various Far Eastern fibers like
mm,
gampi or kozo, and you dip that screen into the vat and you pull it out, and a sheet has formed on the surface of your screen. The water seeps through, the sheet forms on the surface of the screen. What Claire Van Vliet does, and she learned to do this in the mid 1970s. Um, she then makes representational artwork in the sheet of paper. So a
Mm,
pulp painting doesn't have any painting per se, it's
yeah.
all paper pulp. And
Yeah.
so here you're seeing these wispy white clouds in the blue sky and these almost marble-like streaks of white that are underlying the printed lithograph. Um, she takes in this example, the base sheet is made from blue, pigmented blue paper pulp. And then she's taking a second paper pulp, probably in this case using a different fiber source, and she's perhaps using a squeeze bottle to get the white onto the blue. But it's all paper.
It's amazing. I know before I came to the exhibition, I had read a little bit about the pulp painting, but wasn't familiar. And to see it in person and to see somebody of Miss Van Vliet's craftsmanship was, again, just so amazed with the quality of this work and what it looked like. Yeah, I mean, these images are great, but really need to view the exhibition in person to truly appreciate her artistry. And for the sake of time, we want to continue our tour. And please comment on the case we're seeing in front of us here.
Right. So Claire Van Vliet's known for her pulp paintings. She's also known for her structural work with her books. As a letterpress printer, she prints with movable metal type most of the time. She uh, creates the structures of her books by hand. And together with her pulp paintings, her book structures, and just the quality of the work she does, those are the reasons she was recognized in 1989 with a MacArthur Fellowship.
Mm,
And what we're seeing here are some of her um, early experiments with making non-adhesive book structures. The piece at the bottom is called Aunt Sally's Lament, and the whole book folds up into a diamond, or you can
wow.
unfold the whole thing, or you can open it one page opening at a time.
Mm,
She's collaborating in this case with a poet named Margaret Kaufman, who writes, among other things, poetry inspired by quilts and quilt making. And in this story, the central part of the poem runs through the middle of the book, and it tells the story of Aunt Sally and her losses and loves over a lifetime. Now she's an old spinster playing with her quilting. And
mm,
the whole book folds together, and because of the way the cutouts overlap each other, it looks like a quilt square when you're all done.
yeah, yeah, just amazing. Um, Picking up here, please.
So these are some other wonderful examples of Claire Van Vliet's quilt books and broadsides, inspired by quilting poems, working with two different poets. And the book in the middle actually features a quilted box to house the book. For Claire Van Vliet, often the box is part of the artwork too. And this is a close-up shot, a detail shot of the Janus Press edition of Beauty in Use,
Mm,
with uh, imagery by Claire Van Vliet and poetry by, again, one of her poetic collaborators. The poems here are inspired by African American quilt makers, by quilting
mm,
communities, and so is the artwork. The
mm.
imagery imitates actual quilt squares, but
Yeah.
the imagery is formed entirely from cut, woven, and interlocked pieces of handmade and hand decorated papers. So the and the inventiveness that goes into
Yeah.
Claire Van Vliet's work is extraordinary. She invented most of these structures
Yeah,
herself.
it's groundbreaking, her work and the contributions we're fortunate to see in the exhibition. These next two images provide some wonderful wide shots to give viewers and others a sense on how you went about laying the artwork.
So we're back in the gallery, and on the um, wall closest to us, we're looking at examples of Claire Van Vliet's printmaking. Most of these are lithographs. And one of the things you notice with her lithographs is that she's often um, collaging them with pulp paintings.
Hmm.
And so she'll use um, a gray and white and black pulp painting as the backdrop for a lithograph of a rock formation in Utah, and she loves to travel. She loves to be inspired by um, sort of these enormous, majestic rock formations. When she received her MacArthur, one of the things she did with those funds was just that, to travel to places like the desert Southwest, New Mexico and Utah, to New Zealand, to
Hmm.
Ireland. And much of what she did was drawing these rock formations and then making prints from them. And then on the far wall, we see in the middle there with the yellow base sheet,
Hmm.
that quadruptic, those four
Yeah.
pieces linked together. That is one of her monumental pulp paintings of a cloudscape. And she says that one of the reasons she first took up paper making and pulp painting specifically was that she would make these little watercolors of cloudscapes, and she loved the effect of the watercolor. And then she would try to do it at large scale,
Hmm.
and it turned muddy every time.
Huh.
And so with the pulp painting, that image, that incredible stormy cloudscape, there's
Yeah.
it kind of looks like a watercolor when you're looking at it from 20 feet
Sure.
away, but there's no watercolor in it. It's entirely paper pulp.
Oh, it's stunning, stunning.
She
Uh,
describes pulp painting as being like finger painting with applesauce. I
oh,
just love that image.
that is fabulous imagery. Here we see some nice close-ups of some of the bookmaking.
So in many of her books, she does them in editions of about 100 to 120 copies typically. She's combining her different aspects of her artistic practice. So she's actually, every single one of the examples you're seeing in this shot are feature pulp paintings in the book. So
Mm,
for each opening, she would have made the paper, and she would have repeated the process 100 or 120 times to
wow.
get that backdrop. And then she is again playing with structure, creating pop-ups that illustrate the poetry, creating um, a a set of images that almost looks like a stage set for the poetry. Um, and always she's thinking of her work in highly integrated ways. The paper, handmade paper, the typography,
Mm,
binding, the structure, the materials, the imagery, and the text all come together to form a meaning that is greater than the sum of its parts.
mm. And these next two are some wonderful close-ups of the bookmaking.
This is one of my favorite pieces. It's called Circulus Sapientiae, or the Circle of Wisdom.
Mhm.
Prints the text of a set of Latin poems by the medieval mystic Hildegard von Bingen, who was also known as a composer in the Middle Ages. And Claire Van Vliet gives it these wonderful, bright, extravagant, lush, pulp painted and pop up
Mm,
images the book is entirely non-adhesive. There's no glue in sight. The book will never deteriorate. The
Mm.
paper quality is high. She's always thinking about the longevity of her work, but she's also thinking about the interaction of her work. And with this one very simple example of how integrated her work is, The Circle of Wisdom is the title of the work.
Mhm.
And the accordion structure she's
Yeah.
created for it allows it to be displayed in a circle.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And here's another detail shot where you
Yeah.
can see
Oh,
um, the pop-ups of the flames and the rose. And in each case, her work is not merely illustrating the poetry, it's creating an experience that resonates with the poetry.
oh, that's so well said. And the colors, the vibrancy. Oh, it's
Absolutely.
fabulous, fabulous work of art. And now we'll step back a little to enjoy some other pieces.
So you're seeing a book with a pop-up in the middle. That's the Gospel of Mary. She's using an early Gnostic text for the text of the book. It's a scholarly edition. It has scholarly commentary, but it's printed almost like an incunable of the Gutenberg era
Mm, mm,
typographically
mm.
in terms of layout. But then you read about this sort of epiphany moment, and suddenly this pop-up jumps up out at you from the book. And in the middle there, her book The Silences Between, she's collaborating with the New Zealand poet and writer Carrie Holm, best known for the Booker Prize winning The Bone People. This is The
Mm.
Silences Between, poems that are set very firmly in the landscape of the New Zealand coast. And Claire Van Vliet, traveling on the New Zealand coast, drew and photographed
Ah,
these magnificent round boulders that are kind of almost unique to that coastline, and then created this book that you can close it and it looks just like an ordinary book, and then you can pop the images out into these square-like structures. You can set the book up like a wagon wheel,
mm.
and it's almost like the boulders are right there in front of you.
Wow, wow. Well, in closing, we have two more close-ups we're going to hear about.
This is another one of her collaged prints. The print is a lithograph printed on hand marbled paper
Mm.
of a scene at Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, near Abiquiu, New Mexico, collaged with a pulp painted cloudscape and then collaged onto a base sheet of handmade paper. Having grown up in northern New Mexico myself,
Ah,
this is one of my favorite pieces. It resonates with childhood memories.
I know when I first stepped in the exhibition and saw these combined mediums, I really questioned myself. I said, is that just pulp painting or is it a combination? So it was after a couple and reading and exploring and having you reinforce that, I'm reassured that it definitely is this incredible combination that she is so gifted to be able to implement. And
Absolutely.
last piece of artwork we'd like to hear about, please, John.
This is one of her printed broadsides. It's a piece called Arctic Dreams. The text is by the writer Barry Lopez. And this really speaks to the collaborative nature of Claire Van
Mm.
Vliet's work. She assembled a team of three other hand paper makers, and for her, collaboration is always a two-way process, and she's not just dictating, she's engaging creatively with her collaborators. And one of those collaborators specializes in Far Eastern papermaking techniques. And so to get this effect of the wispy clouds over the mountain, they're using a long fibered Japanese paper pulp, I think probably Kozo or Gampi,
Mm.
or Abaca possibly, to just get that incredible effect. And you can almost get the sense that you're right up there in the mist, in the fog
Yeah, for
yourself.
sure, for
And
sure.
and again, it's an integrated work. The text resonates with this image in just the most powerful and incredible way.
Marvelous, marvelous. And wonderful closing shot here.
Several more of her broadsides. That one with the river running down the middle and the mountains on either side is a poem, a poem by Galway Cannell called "The Geese." That was the first piece of work by Claire Van Vliet that I ever saw, and I
Mm.
fell in love with it. That was 25 years ago, and so fast forward to today, and I just I feel so privileged to have been able to work on this exhibition with Claire Van Vliet.
Well, it definitely sounds like it was meant to be your collaboration at this time in both of your careers. I know in addition to the incredible exhibition, like all wonderful showings at the Athenaeum, there's extended programming. I know some has happened already. The exhibition is going to be ongoing till the end of December. So lots of time for people to enjoy visits as well as some extended programming.
That's right. The Boston Athenaeum, as you know, is a member-supported library, museum, and cultural center. Membership is open to all, and we are open to the public for a nominal fee to see our first floor art and exhibition experience. We also offer um, day memberships where for
Mm.
$40 you can try out being a member for a day and see if you like it and have the run of the entire historic landmark 1849 building and see the artwork that's all over the building, not just on that first floor. We do offer art and exhibition tours with our docents, and those
Mm.
are several times a week. A couple times a week, there are also docent-led gallery talks, and I give a couple gallery talks myself. The next
Mm.
one will be, I think, in mid-November. So you can check our
Wonderful.
uh, website out, and the events page will tell you about upcoming book talks, gallery talks, tour opportunities, and there are
Terrific.
a lot of
Well,
great things happening here.
oh, for sure, for sure. And we'll make sure that is in the credits of the program. In the minute that we have left, John, perhaps a quick word about the catalog that I know I picked up when I had the opportunity to be there to, again, appreciate the exhibition even more. So much interesting background, lots of visuals. Just a very quick word about the assemblage of this.
Absolutely. So this exhibition catalog features full color illustrations of every piece in the show and several pieces that didn't make it into the show. And better still, it features process photos from Claire Van
Yeah.
Vliet's personal archive showing the process by which many of the pieces were made. So there's a full checklist of the exhibition and a little essay by yours truly as well.
A wonderful,
So
very informative and eloquently put, as was your presentation today, John. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
thank
Look
you.
forward to visiting the exhibition and definitely following the expanded programming that, from my experience over the last few years, just keeps growing and growing. The Athenaeum is really just keeps stepping it up as a cultural institution in the city. So if people haven't made their way there recently, definitely encourage them to do that in addition to this current exhibition. So continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you, Jay.
Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.